So I come now to the end of our event, and I'd like to introduce Tim Lucey, the Chief Executive of Cork County Council, who has recently taken up the role of the Chair of the CCMA to give the closing address for the event. Over to you, Tim.
Thank you, Nolene. Great to be here, and just to add my best wishes as well to our colleague Kieran Hayes. Kieran, I thought that you might be lining out for Sligo footballers this weekend or next weekend, seeing that they don't have a team now.
I'd be lining out on my own.
Indeed you would, yeah, that's an unfortunate situation. Nolene, look, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here, look, on behalf of the County and City Management Association to close what was a very interesting and informative conference. I got in for a number of the last presentations there today, and I'm sure that the rest of them were of such high quality as well. Look, I think it's an appropriate opportunity annually to showcase just some of the innovations developed and implemented by local government, and I'm delighted to see indeed a number of my chief executive colleagues presented, indeed attending and continuing to attend right up to the end, and I think that demonstrates the value that we place on this particular aspect of our business, which should permeate the entire operations of our business, innovation, etc., and indeed the importance of NOAC to the sector. I suppose we could focus a lot on COVID today, but we have and we haven't in some cases. It has presented a major challenge, there's no doubt of that, but I think as a sector we've met and we've exceeded all that has been asked of us. I think indeed, I suppose the most recent past and the ongoing period, it has also shown very significant reliance by the whole of government on local government's innovation, its agility and its own swift responsiveness to the complex set of circumstances that our citizens have continued to face, and most particularly I think over the last 7 to 8 months. So it would be remiss of me at the outset, as I suppose the public face of the CCMA now, not to place on record the level of pride I think that we all as chief executives and the CCMA has and what has been achieved by staff across the entire country and the entire set of our business areas during COVID-19 to date. I just want to thank on behalf of us all the staff for demonstrating what I think are being the true values of public service, values we know that permeate our daily work, but it's not necessarily recognised on a daily basis. And indeed I'd also say that at a time of crisis, the true value and the values of local government, of staff, they come to the fore. And I think it has been an exceptionally positive period for local government, despite what we've gone through, and a positive period as well in terms of how we're looked at and now recognised by central government and indeed by business and communities on the ground. So out of a crisis has come, I think, a lot of positivity. But today's event, it shows that before, during and indeed after COVID-19, we will, as a sector, continue to demonstrate that level of innovation, and our staff will continue to deliver to show their willingness and ability to engage with emerging technologies and their adaptation in new ways. And this event today showcases the innovation that's ever present within the local government sector in Ireland. I suppose to put things into context as well, it's very easy for us to dwell on COVID, it's very easy to dwell on this for the next 6 months, but we need to start thinking about the next 5 and 10 years as well. And yesterday, on behalf of our own sector, I attended the Public Sector Leadership Group, which consists of the leadership of public service in Ireland, and we approved the new public service innovation strategy, which will be published very shortly. And I think that's aptly named Making Innovation Real, or Public Service, Delivering Today, Shaping Tomorrow. The strategy recognises what innovation is. It's about finding new means of delivering services and policy responses in ways that can add value. And today we've seen very significant examples of that. I think one of the interesting things as well that has come out of COVID-19 is how that might influence our responses into the future, because the level of flexibility that we all have been able to show because of a crisis is something that we need to have copper fastened into the whole manner in which we run services, not just on a daily basis, but even from a regulatory point of view. And it's a real opportunity for the country, I think, to move forward from one that has been agile, responsive, that has been risk-taking to a certain extent, to one that can kind of embed that culture into the future. That is a challenge that certainly presents for the next number of years. I suppose today, look, we've seen some superb examples that go across the breadth of our functions. We've had an excellent presentation on open libraries, and I couldn't let this opportunity go without recognise the value of our library services. That's demonstrated by a 267% increase in library membership compared to 2019, and an increase of 210% in the lending of e-books, audiobooks and new registrations for e-learning courses. And our library service was to the fore, I think, as part of our community response as well, along with a whole range of other staff that we have on the ground through area engineering, municipal district or outdoor staff. And the combination of everybody working together is indeed an innovation in its own way, bringing internal and external and services that wouldn't have worked with each other previously into the one loop of giving community response. Today's event, I think, has also shown how we embrace new technology with the use of drones, even to carry out inspections. We've seen how culture and creativity are combined and championed by local authorities, and even indeed, I suppose, through the most recent presentations, they're the last ones, and in terms of embracing the autumn, we've seen how we support for all ages, from positive aging to teenagers. Neither indeed be mutually exclusive, that indeed if we design for our aged and most vulnerable, then we design for all. And that's a term that we try to use ourselves across and trying to infiltrate that type of a culture across our own services ourselves, not just in designing hard product, but designing the soft delivery of our services as well. We've also seen a focus on how local authorities support government priorities, including the economic and community development, delivering supports for SMEs. And I'll come back to that in a moment. And I suppose, but getting back to the most recent past, through the LGMA, even being innovative enough to, during the COVID-19 period, to undertake a survey in April 2020, which identified 214 innovations across all functional areas of local authorities in that short 6-week time frame. 6-week time period in April and May. That's quite significant. We think that we across the sector there were 214 new things done in a very, very short space of time in very difficult business circumstances. Some highlights: we responded through the community helpline and forum across every local authority to over 55,000 calls supporting older people and vulnerable citizens. That's something that was put together overnight. On the 27th of March, I think we got the call from the Taoiseach's department to put this in place. And we were up and running over a period of a weekend in practically every local authority in the country. Quite a significant achievement, something that could not have been achieved by central government, dare I say. That's not suggesting that central government isn't innovative, but I think the closeness on the ground and our agility and ability to get together and do so and be close to the citizens, understand what they want was of high significance there. We responded to the modal shifts that came with the virus, including on the ground, investing in more cycling facilities, investing in ensuring safer pedestrian movement, enhancing the public realm. Look at what we've done in terms of outdoor dining opportunities to ensure restaurants, cafes and coffee shops could stay open. Sometimes, do we think of these as being innovative solutions or not? They are absolutely innovative solutions. Anything that can be changed to improve the life of our citizens in any circumstance is an innovation in public service. So level 5 has changed things temporarily, but for these supports, they'll be crucial to small businesses when the country opens for our business. And that's indeed our next phase in the next 6 months and the next year as to how we can embed that innovation on an ongoing basis. Getting back to what I said earlier about supporting the economy, again, just think of the level of financial and other supports that needed to be given out to businesses through government support being given out through the public service and our own local enterprise offices, our economic development departments, and indeed our finance departments combined. We processed over €501 million of government funding to date to over 102,400 to be exact to date, businesses under the Restart and Restart Plus grant. And again, that could not have been done through central government. It could have been done only by central government working with local government in such a short time frame and with the innovation and agility and responsiveness. And again, going back to the public service ethos of our own people on the ground. We are the level of government closest to citizens, and we've developed and implemented a phenomenal level of innovations, not just during COVID-19, but it's just an extension of the innovation that I suppose we as a sector embrace and deliver on an ongoing basis, and will be continuing to be part of our delivery model into the future. It's a pleasure to recognise that across the sector here today. To conclude, look, I'd like to thank the chair of NOAC, Michael McCarthy, a good West Cork man whom I met most recently, and is doing a superb job as chair of NOAC, and indeed the members of NOAC for their support and their guidance in agreeing the itinerary for today's event and their guidance to the sector overall. The type of event, it doesn't just happen. There's a phenomenal level of planning and organising to be done, and I want to thank the NOAC staff, John McCarthy, Claire Gavin and John Goldrick for their contribution to today's event. And I'd also like to thank Paul Dunn, CEO of the LGMA, and the staff of the LGMA, especially Eddie, Deirdre and Siobhan, for their hard work in bringing the event together. And I also want to extend my thanks to you, Nolene, for emceeing the event and moderating the excellent Q&A sessions that were held. and to Bridget for the common support, and to Mark and Gary for the support and the IT support in particular that made this virtual event possible. To the speakers and the presenters, a big thank you. You've taken time out from your busy schedules. You've demonstrated that local authorities have the skills and the capacities to respond to any challenge that they're called to face, as well as an ability to develop novel solutions to what are really complex problems. And I suppose sometimes we forget about the fact that some of the most complex things to do are those where we have to engage with people on the ground to get that psychological contract between themselves and ourselves. And it's not just a technological solution, but very often we have to cajole, we have to convince, we have to bring people with us. And I think that's often underestimated in terms of innovation improvement as well. To the audience, so thank you for listening. Hopefully you've learned something. One of the aims is to support knowledge sharing. So perhaps you heard, or indeed you saw something today that you can replicate in your own authority, or indeed maybe develop something from today which will set you on another path of developing more innovative solutions in your own authority, and possibly being back here next year, the year after, in terms of sharing your knowledge and your own expertise in that area as well. Finally, while I missed the opening of the event this morning, I'd like to thank Minister Darragh O'Brien for opening the event and his ongoing support, and that of his department to the local government sector, and indeed that of government, because they have been quite significantly supportive of us over the past number of months in particular, and have really seen the value of local government on the ground joined up with central government. So we look forward to seeing you again next year for the 21 conference, and perhaps next year we'll be able to meet in person. One would certainly hope so. If not, the innovation, I think, in virtual online stuff is here to stay with us in any event, and today has been a success of that. So thank you all, and goodbye, and stay safe, and have a Christmas to everybody. Thank you.